So there we go. Let's now go with Manoj Sudusinghe says, "Hi, I just found you. I have seen your TikTok content. Today is the day I found this server. I'm Manoj from Sri Lanka, a self-learned 3D artist. Self-thought is the usual concept that we use, not trying to nitpick or anything. Facing a down focus of an activity for about 2-3 years. I was focused on products so far and recently realized the industry is changing. I always wanted to move myself as a game as artist, so all the reasons to face such a downfall in my career are not publishing my works and not in communities. So I have to start almost everything. I've recently updated my portfolio and there are game assets still in progress. Let's take a look." So the first thing I can tell you, Manoj, is that yes, it's very scary when we haven't been doing anything for the past like couple of years, right? And you need to understand this, and this is a message that I want everyone to understand. So it has to do with being very honest with ourselves, okay? Let's say today, for whatever reason, Ave, decide to stop doing 3D, and I become something different, like a chef, right? And I start working as a chef or like cooking for the next 5 or 10 years. And then in 2033, 2034, I'm like, hey, I want to go back to 3D. Well, the thing is, a lot of you guys that are watching right now will continue to work as 3D artists for the next 10 years. So you will be 10 years ahead of where I'm going to be if I decide to come back at that time, right? So it would be very dishonest of me to try to compare myself to you and to compete against you, because you would be way further ahead in your career. So the same thing is happening here with you, my friend. If you are now jumping into the 3D industry, you are, let's say, 2 or 3 years behind those who have continued to work as 3D artists for the past couple of years. That doesn't mean that it's lost for you. That's not what I meant. Like, what I mean is you just need to be very honest of where you are right now and work from that specific point forward, okay? But you cannot blame yourself, or you cannot blame anyone else who has been doing this for a longer time. Now, if I take a look at your assets, this is good. I like it. This is a cool, like, little car right here. We of course need to take a look at some of the elements. Sketchfab is supposed to close soon, I think. So you might want to change this to Marmoset. There we go. So again, what I normally like to look at is the topology. Yeah, a little bit on the heavy side, not extremely heavy, but especially since you have a lot of flat areas, you don't really need a lot of this like details, especially if this is going to be for games. And I think you did mention that you want to do games, right? Yeah, game assets. So for games, we definitely need to optimize this a little bit more. I'm not seeing how many like triangles we have right here. I don't think we have this information here on the Sketchfab, but this is definitely on the heavy side. Like all of this inside triangles, I'm not sure if they're the same at the outside. No, see that? We have thickness. Do we need thickness is the question that I would ask, right? Because if this window is going to be like solid like that is right now, you can delete all of the triangles on the inside and you're not even going to see them. So it's very, very important that that we optimize this a little bit more. Same for this one. Like if we have this flat plane right there, why do we have this many triangles? We can easily reduce this all the way to 6 squares or 8 plates right there, and no one's gonna know the difference because it's a very sort of like sharp angle element. Okay, so my advice for you, Manoj, is to try and take some of the assets that you've already done. Like this product assets are really good. Like this jewelry stuff, nice with the whole process. So we need to do more stuff, and we need to prepare it properly for games, which means optimizing assets. So for instance, on this bike right here, the wheels, all of the details there on the threads of the wheels, you need to bake those down. You're not gonna have that much geometry available for a game asset on this bike. So my best advice, because I know you wrote this on the message there, don't get discouraged. Okay, don't get discouraged with the stuff that you've been doing or just stop doing. This is your time now to start working on it again, and believe me, you have time. The industry will continuously need new artists, and this is one of the other points that I've talked about. Everyone wants to work at the big studios right now. Again, Riot, Blizzard, all of these big games out there, but you don't realize that at one point those were small studios as well. Like Riot 20 years ago was nothing. It was just a very small group of people that took a modified version of Dota and started doing their own stuff. And if you go back to League of Legends in like 2010, right? Like it looked like shit. It looked really bad, right? Like, this is what they had at the time, and a lot of the assets were reused. Nowadays, we look at the beautiful art of character artists doing great work, but a lot of people don't want to go to a studio that's doing this kind of stuff right now, today, because they want to work at the big ones. But you could be going to a small studio that is doing these things right now, today, and in 10 years, you're going to still be part of a big studio that's now doing great stuff. Another one I can show you is like Larian Studios, right? Like, everyone talks about Baldur's Gate now, but they were doing Divinity Original Sin a couple of years ago, and the quality, of course, was not as good as Baldur's Gate, but it still was a good game. So if you were with Larian, again, like 15 years ago doing Divinity, then at one point you will be growing with them and you would be working on Baldur's Gate 3 last year, okay? But again, a lot of people don't want to go through that, the grinding process. I know it's difficult, and I know not every studio will get there. Like, maybe you join a studio with the hopes that the studio will grow, and 5 years later, boom, the studio is closed. Well, that's fine, but you did grow as an artist in those 5 years, and you did do very cool things throughout those years, which will eventually allow you to jump to a better studio. Okay, that's what we call the career ladder, right? Like, you go through the career ladder, and you keep doing and doing better things. You grow with the studio, and I feel like that comes from a very sort of like what's the word that they use? Like, people think that you deserve something, entitlement, right? Like, it comes from an entitlement where we think we deserve to be working at the best studio just because we went to school and just because we have a cool portfolio. I mean, you might have that opportunity, but if you don't have that opportunity, you need to build up to that opportunity, okay? So keep that in mind, my friends.